to do with your time. It's about cash flow. Understand the problem that we have, you know, with Keynesianism is people know the human nature. Human nature suggests that I want to, you know, be greedy, and I want, you know, having avarice is okay. It's good. It's called saving. It's called being prudent, common sense. So if the money is flowing through society freely, everybody is secure, everybody's working and feeling appreciated and relevant, and they're all prosperous, and the money is flowing. Nobody cares. They're not insecure. Nobody is financially insecure. So nobody is financially fearful. It's a very real form of fear. Okay? The problem is that these elitists at the very top, okay, these illegitimate overlords, this murderous gaggle of thugs, again, these Illuminati, call them what you will, the New World Order class, all these globalists, these people are evil as the day is long. A lot of them are overtly, openly Satanists, unabashed about it. They're haters of humanity. And then they want to come, you know, they think we're so screwed up in the mind that we don't see what these people are doing. They're trying to start Third World War. If they could start a nuclear holocaust on Earth while they were safely underground and wipe out 7 billion people by so doing that, they would. And that's exactly what a nuclear war would do. With all the nuclear weapons, if they did go off at once, it would create a nuclear winter that would just effectively destroy all life on Earth, except what was underground, like some kind of, you know, hellish Noah's Ark they think they could start under the ground. And they have the wherewithal to do that. The technology is incredible. They've got underground labyrinths all over the planet. Luxury condos, everything. All the water's under there, all the aquifers. And if they have, you know, nuclear power or whatever, they can have all the light they need to grow any crops they want. Everything they want, okay? So, you know, the idea that these people, if they could do it, they would, I believe. That's why I, you know, found out, I've researched, I found out that these people aren't able to do it. That the hand of God literally is stopping these people from committing nuclear holocaust on humanity. But if they would, they could. This is another example of how they want to wipe us out if they could get their way. And what they're doing, that's going under the radar of a lot of people. Okay, because a lot of people I know personally, okay, they're dying. And they were drinking things like diet soda pop. Okay, my neighbor's mechanic, he was 54, dropped dead. This guy, he was telling, we were talking about the soda pop issue, and he was talking about this, you know, this diet soda pop. Okay, and this guy, okay, was dead that next day after I talked to him. Okay, 54, younger than me. I'm 57 now. And then my brother-in-law in Eureka, okay, he was in his 60s, but he was drinking diet soda pop. That has been definitely confirmed. Okay, died of a heart attack suddenly. Both things. Perry, the mechanic at 54, my brother-in-law in his 60s. People think they're doing something healthy. It says diet, right? That's nutritional. That's good, diet. All right? You see how they play, their mind's screwing us. Every which way they can. It's propaganda. They're using psychology in the way they train us, inculcate us, brainwash us, indoctrinate us into believing the way they want us to believe. And they want us to believe it's hopeless. We're hopelessly divided. It's overwhelming. There's nothing you can do. Go along with the program. That's a path of least resistance. Just pay. Keep paying the exorbitant cost of living. The fact that your dollar is being debased daily, it's worth less and less and less in the aggregate. When that's a very unnatural state of affairs. That's not capitalism. It's unsound currency. It's really fascism that's caused this, because the currency is unsound by design. They know the difference between unsound currency and sound currency, and they know how to prevent unsound currency and how to create sound currency. It's called checks and balances. It's called accountability. Because in true capitalism, as defined as supply and demand, free market capitalism, your currency, if there's an iota of progress, should do nothing but go up in worth, up in value, whatever you want to call it. It's not supposed to go down. It's supposed to become not abased, I don't think that's the right term, but it's certainly not supposed to become debased. It's supposed to be worth more. It's supposed to increase in value, and there's a very simple reason for that. And it is supply and demand. It's the fact that we find easier and easier ways to produce not only the things that we need, the essential human needs, but to produce the things we want, okay? All the trinkets, knickknacks, and luxury items, okay? So this is the logic, this is the reason. I know what I'm talking about. We can't believe these people. They want you to believe that it's hopeless, that unemployment and the immigrants are the problem. You understand, these are all parts of the effect of the oppression. Let's go to the causers of the oppression, I say. Let's look at the people that have hijacked, usurped America. And that's all they had to do. Once they usurped America, they could start with California and just let that trend like a cancer spread throughout the rest of the country. And that's the division between haves and have-nots, the prosperous and the non-prosperous. The homeowners being the prosperous ones, who they might be really struggling. They might even have to go on food stamps. They might not be able to because they make too much money. They've got a mortgage they're paying $1,500, $2,000 a month to. Can you imagine? You know, both people in the family working, husband and wife working, couples working to pay their rent nowadays. They forget the mortgage, but they're making too much to qualify for any welfare, so they can't even get that. So more and more people are falling through the cracks, are desperate. So all these homeowners in California, we've got about close to 40 million people here. So that means some 20 million people at least are poor, and that number is increasing. And we're spreading that cancer across the rest of the country. Understand how it's being done. Like chain reaction inflation. All they need to do is pick on one essential human need, in that case, housing. Okay, and from there it spreads out. Everybody's trying to keep their head above water, maintain a standard of living, okay? And so everybody has needs. They need X amount of hours to work at X amount of wage, okay? That's a fact, unless it's salaried, and it doesn't matter. But that's not the point. The point is that there is only X amount of work. You can't force that fact by beating your head against a wall, beating your breast, and just saying, well, somehow you can survive, even though the logic and facts, you know, fly in the face of that, you know, there just isn't enough work, that the message is you should just go under a bridge and die, and, you know, forget about being a homeowner, you got to go on Section 8. And so this whole problem is exacerbated, the government gets involved, and so they're subsidizing the landlords, they're subsidizing the entire industry, this housing industry, so it's a snake eating its tail. How can it succeed? It can't. It's devouring itself, and it's trying to strangle everybody in its midst. Metaphorically speaking, that's what's going on here. So people are walking around sucking lemons, agitated, you know, this miserable malaise that's been invented for us. You know, the people, you know, it's hopeless, and they, you know, they just give up. You know, they can't contend with the system anymore, and they want to drop out. And often some of these are the kindest, gentlest, nicest people out there. They're not lazy. They don't want to be takers. They know what it's written in Scripture, that it's more blessed to give than to receive. They know that it's written that a man that's not willing to work shouldn't eat. Willing to work. If there's work, you're supposed to force yourself. You're supposed to go out and work for free when you yourself have to go buy your essential human needs. You understand? They've turned us into nuts. We're all thinking illogically. It's like we're all insane because our cruel overlords are insane. And that's all they have to offer humanity is insanity. They divide us by intent and make us believe that there's no way. Somebody's got to be left out of this loop. You've always got to have these poor. Hell, even your Bible, even Jesus said that. And I'm repulsed by anybody that would quote that teaching of Jesus. The opposite was being said. I want the poor to take my place. So if you want to do something for Jesus, you do it for the poor. You bind the wound on the collective body of humanity where it's hemorrhaging out. Is that not logical? Is it not illogical to do otherwise? Say, focus on the middle class. We're losing the middle class. They're making more poor. Okay? Do you understand how they've got us divided? How profoundly and dramatically they've got us under their spell? Okay, it is like witchcraft. These people are sorcerers. They dabble in this kind of stuff with their incantations of hatred toward humanity. Their litany of lies and disgust and disdain for the righteous, the noble, the pure in heart, those that want, you know, honor and dignity, value those things, that want justice on earth to prevail, that want peace on earth, that people to live in peace and contentment with one another, to have full prosperity. Hey, if it works, it works. To release the free, clean energy technology. And that's another thing. We got to hear from these people how the earth is overpopulated, how we're destroying the earth, when that's the one area we've actually made progress. You know, 30 years ago in San Jose, 40 years ago, I mean, the sky was brown before the catalytic converter. That was a huge advancement. Okay, that was a huge, you know, point of progress in us cleaning up the air. It's much less toxic now, except now they're spraying us. You understand? These people won't leave us alone. They know what they're doing. And now we got to listen to the Pope being on board with the overpopulation and the destruction of the earth and how we're immoral and bad. And that just being alive is a bad thing. You shouldn't heat your home. You shouldn't cool. You shouldn't use any energy. We should do nothing. When, one volcano puts out more CO2 than, 100 years of human interaction with the earth. It's ridiculous. Okay, the forest fires are natural. Mother Nature's starting those things. How much CO2 do you think goes up in a forest fire? And then they're putting out the forest fires, which is contrary to Mother Nature. And then the old growth trees burn. We start losing all the old growth trees. The fires burn hotter. They're more destructive. You're supposed to let Mother Nature do her thing. She knows how to take care of the earth. And that's one of the ways. It's so stupid, but we buy into it. I'm not saying you shouldn't put out, the structure fires. Yes, focus on that, and maybe you'll get more done. You'll save more property. But no, leave the forest to burn. That's what they're supposed to do. If it was nature that started it, leave it alone. But you understand how these people operate. And then these are the same ones that are suppressing the clean energy technology. The fact that, they keep this information so it's like, what? This guy's a nut. He's telling you, the first cars that rolled off the assembly line could have been producing their own hydrogen on demand. He's a pipe dreamer, okay? He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. But I do. The science behind it is there. It's 18th century technology. That is the ability to produce hydrogen artificially. So from that point, we could have steadily been miniaturizing that technology and putting it as a unit under the hood of your car. So instead of putting gas in your tank, you put water. And you get extremely good mileage. The man named Stan Meyer, if you look into him, he produced an engine he put in a car. He got over 100 miles to a gallon of water. 1 gallon of water, 100 miles, okay? So it's not like you're going to be steaming up the atmosphere or anything by doing this. And Tesla technology, instead of having all these wires strewn across the country on grids, the electricity production and transportation wires, we could have Tesla technology, a device set on the top of your house, and you gain energy from the atmosphere in perpetuity, all you need, anytime you want. Plug into the wall just like you do now with alternating current. That's the kind of stuff we could have, okay? But do they want that? Okay, no they don't. Why? Because this is how they maintain control. Their money, okay, is in the oil. Do you want to be rendered irrelevant? All of a sudden you got this very valuable commodity that's rendered useless tomorrow except for lubrication. And in that case, we could recycle 100% of it as it got used up. No, they don't want to hear that stuff. Of course they don't. They'd go the way of the dodo bird, the VCR. Are we to say it's a bad thing when your currency increases in value? I hear some economists suggest that. They talk about the price of this commodity going down and how it's hurting this industry and all the people that work in the industry. They say, well, what about the poor VCR workers? Remember all the retail agencies and all the manufacturers and advertisers that were making money off the VCR. Don't you have compassion and mercy for them? No, this is what has to happen. This is what has to happen. And Harry Dent is one of the few people I think that touched on this fact. One of the economists that Alex Jones has on his show. He gets many. He gets Gerald Celente on there, and he gets Paul Craig Roberts. He's got Peter Schiff. He gets Max Kaiser on the show. All these guys. Why? Because he understands fundamentally. He may not understand everything about economics, but who does? But he fundamentally is a humanitarian. And to me, a humanitarian is, in my mind, an egalitarian. And I'm all for it. I'm for any economist that understands that economic problems are solvable, they're fixable. And the way to do it is through universal, full prosperity, okay? Look, if people keep going to work, how can the system break down? You understand? So the only excuse our oppressors have, this miserable gaggle of murderous thugs at the top, running roughshod over us, creating the policies we all have to live under that they're exempt from, okay? The last thing they want is for us to understand this thing and realize, yes, it's true that we could all be prosperous around the world, okay? Because if America set a shining light example, this is how to do it, the world. So it would put an end to all this immigration, it put an end to the dubious war, all these war refugees dying and fleeing their homelands. Okay, it would put an end to all that stuff. And it would render these people irrelevant. You understand? They don't want to be made irrelevant, so they've got to keep up the chaos.